Was it smartphones or the internet or social media or COVID? It feels like we are living in some alternative timeline, however crazy it sounds. It feels to me, I mean, the reality is so crazy for me to see, to witness it. I almost can't understand how and when it all happened. Because it wasn't gradual. It was a kind of a snap, and it's just almost like one day we woke up and everything is crazy. Everything is upside down. You know, there's this company, I think it's called CERN, in North France, or somewhere between France and Switzerland, and they have this huge device under a mountain when they do. It's called the Great Collider, Huge Collider or something. They're basically playing around with atoms, smashing into each other, thinking they're going to find like a God particle, right? And there was a saying, they don't know what's going to happen. They might actually create a black hole or something, right? I was reading articles about this a long time ago. And I feel like, it feels to me like, maybe they succeeded some time ago, right? Not a long time ago, because maybe we just went swallowed into this black hole and just puked out on the other end, where everything is just went completely nuts. Because I can't understand where all this change, sudden, rapid change came from, and how have we allowed it to happen? Like, how did we change so much in so short time without anybody noticing it? It's not a gradual thing. It was never a, you know, when you read history books and you look at how people used to live, or you talk to your grandfather, your parents, they tell you the change was happening, right? And the change was coming in month by month, year by year, but it was kind of gradual process when everybody was trying to adapt and just get on with it. But there was a still core of the belief, core of us humans being in the same place. But right now, it's all been removed. It was the snap, a switch, and things already just changed, and we woke up in a different world. When did that happen? Do you know? What would be, if you think about this, if you agree in that, and I think most of us will see it, like it's crazy. We don't know, we can't understand it. But when did that happen? What was the time when we actually woke up, and what was the accelerator for all of it? So the last 2 weeks, horrendous weeks, right? And you know, we see what happened across the pond in America, and as bad as it was, what I've witnessed was something worse than the crimes themselves. I saw normal people, quote normal. I don't know how normal they are now. I question that, but I saw people I would call normal. I would never imagine they could behave this way. People just started celebrating violent death. Now, there are many videos on the internet about that topic, so I'm not going to be talking about this. But I want to talk about something most people I think missed around it. So I always knew that people were just violent people and crazy. It was always there, but we could never see them coming out into the public as it is, right? So that is the big thing for me, when all of it changed, because people who were normal, they started posting horrific stuff online under their own accounts with their own names and pictures, calling the events as something nice. These people, think about it, they really thought that it's a good idea. They are allowed. They thought it's a normal thing if you post it. Like, you know, they were called on it later, and they would say, "Oh no, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean to support the crime and everything." But that's the one of the problem. It's not the main problem. The problem I see is like, how come you thought it's a good thing to post it? How come you thought it's in your head? You wouldn't, you know, nobody would expect you, like if you disagree with someone, if you didn't like someone, nobody would expect you to be part of the grieving, right? A part, you know, or the community, or being part of all this, you know, getting on with it. Like just shut up and remove yourself. And that would be normal, right? But no, these people were openly getting involved and being proud of themselves, that actually they can be part of, calling these horrendous events as something they cheer, just something they celebrate. And these are the people you see at schools, politics, government officers, teachers, soldiers, like everyday people, right? It's like, I remember I was talking to my grandparents, and my grandparents, bless them, they passed away, unfortunately, a long time ago. But when I was younger, we would talk, and I would talk about the very bad time in Polish history where they were growing up in around Second World War, and they've seen horrendous things happening to them, their friends, really bad things. Most Polish people have no stories like that. We have families like that, right? But the two things which I can see were so different. You see, although my grandparents, they saw all the horrendous, all the crimes, all the horrors of war, death and pain and whatnot, they've never once celebrated that. For example, I don't know, the other part, Germans were kind of punished or somebody died. Like, it was always a thing they would never mention. Right? There was like, they would not, I can't imagine my grandma or grandpa just coming out and say, yeah, we're so happy this guy who was in concentration camp, he got killed this horrendous way. Like, they would never say it, because that was just the human things to just say, look, we don't talk about this. Oh, him or she or him, they've done something really bad. Now they're dead. That's it. We move on. We don't talk about dead people. Right? There's this saying in Poland: if somebody passed away, we just don't talk about people bad. We don't talk bad about dead people. Not to mention celebrating it and throwing at tweets and posts and videos or dancing TikToks on the internet. This is insane. It's like, it's never been this way. I've never seen it in any history books, any historical movies, or from my family with their own stories of real horror, not some guy talking to people to things you don't like to hear. They would never do that. And for me, that was a normal way. That was just a way of how you behave. And if you see like these students behaving completely out of order, I kind of like, okay, at least they're 20. They've been brainwashed into this whole machine we've created, right? And it's a completely different issue. But they are the victims of the brainwashing machine. But we saw people my age and older, people who are in charge of kids, of development, of teachers, like everyone, all sort of people from all over the world, all different angles and different experiences, different jobs, all of it, just behaving absolutely out of order, something I would never imagine is possible. I could imagine the crime is possible. Yeah, I could see that coming. And that it's a cycle of violence. And I keep talking about my videos, like violence and crime is the most important problem we need to solve for everyday people, not other, imaginary problems. But I knew this was coming, but the reaction was something which was absolutely something I would never witness. I wasn't expecting this. Yeah, I wasn't ready for that. And like in the movies, even you have people fighting each other and hating each other, killing each other's families or whatever, and then they just kind of, there was this universal respect of death, because death will come to all of us. So there's nothing to celebrate or nothing to be ashamed of. Like, it's just part of, we should be respecting and leave it on. And if somebody is going through the process of losing someone, no matter, imagine a daughter of the biggest war crime person, right? Or daughter or son, person who's committed the most horrendous crimes throughout history. I don't see any mentions, any books anywhere. Like, people would just cheer on this, say, you lost your dad. It's like, this guy. And the good for you. It's like, no, people would just understand. This is like, you can't put these things together. You can't behave like this. Nobody behaves this way. Not even, I think, nowhere in nature you can see celebration of death that way, where the horrendous crime is happening, when people are just going to lose their minds and just going to start talking about this as if something nice happened. I've never seen anything like this. I don't think anything exists in nature this way. There's a vengeance, there's a being spiteful and all of this, but not that way. That is wild. And these people just revealed themselves. And then, of course, lots of conservative people or organizations and media, whatever, started going after these people and reporting them to their employers. And there's apparently like tens of thousands of people lost their jobs, or if not thousands, if not tens of thousands. And the funny thing is like they created a world in which they were made to live. Like that's how it goes in life. Like there's a saying that every sword has got two sides, right? So you can struck somebody with one side, but quite likely you're gonna get struck back from the other side of the same sword. In the meaning, like what you give, you get back, right? And it's the same thing. Like if you've had these people constantly, demonizing people on the other side, which they don't agree with, and people were losing their jobs, were cancelled, and all of that, and then suddenly they're cheering about somebody's basically dying in a horrendous crime, and people saying, "Hang on, that's wrong. You can't do it." Especially like you teaching my kids or whatever, and they suddenly they're just like, "Oh my God, you can't do it. You can't do like complete utter madness." Okay, we are living in some alternative timeline in a reality which happened almost overnight, and I don't know when. I don't know when and how. You see, I'm an entrepreneur, so I work with people a lot. And this also, that madness, this thing, the wild part of human beings, I can see now happening more often in professional world. I grew up, I was taught, I grew up into a kind of professional environment where my parents would always tell me, even though, you don't agree with someone, you don't do things, like the things you don't do, the things you have to behave, the way you have to behave. Even our families back in the day, we would meet for family gatherings. We wouldn't be discussing politics or preferences and stuff like this. I still remember my mom telling me, we shouldn't be discussing other people's preferences, right? Or taste in, say, choosing the partner or clothes or anything like this, because that was a natural way of going. That was just the way people were expected to behave towards each other. So at work, I remember I had a few situations with my ex-employees, when I was taken to tribunal under false accusations. I was dealing with different kind of behaviors, which basically were just meant to punish either me or the company, or sort of like express their nastiness, that people, right? And then over the years, I've saw it more and more coming, and obviously I've learned how to see these kind of behavior before they happen in people. And a similar thing happened with a few of my clients I worked recently over the last couple of years. I was helping them develop their business, and there's one particular case where this person was, I knew that person, it was quite a young person, and she was very open about her own opinions at work. And when I see these things, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. I don't care if it's this or that or religion or whatever. Like if I see somebody going that far at work, I know this is a red flag, because that means this person is not professionally trained enough, or not understanding the environment and good enough, that we should not do these things. And I'm not even talking about celebrating horrendous crimes, right? That is absolutely like the worst thing you can happen. But I'm talking about like expressing your strong beliefs about something. We see it over and over, right? Especially from young people, because they're not being told, there's no pushback. And I've seen these things happening a couple of times within businesses with my clients' businesses. And I've told them before it happens, say, look, this person is going to cause you trouble. And I was told back, say, no, don't worry, we worked together for a long time. We are like family. All this, things we are now seeing in businesses being destroyed by, basically. Removed all this good behavior and rules and expectations and being professional. And didn't go long until that person actually started kicking off, and it got to the point where there was a kind of a discussion happened between two sides, and the person, the business owner, said, look, this is not acceptable to behave this way, because it affects this and this, it affects business, affects clients, affects other people working around us. And that person who was behaving poorly kicked back, saying, oh, you're just discrimination or whatever. And it all ended up, as I warned them it will all ended up in court. Now, you see, the problem is, we're now living in a place, in a society, and there was, I think, millions of people opened their eyes over the last 2 weeks. They were not kind of aware of it. I wasn't aware of the scale, where this behavior is very hard. It's very hard to push back on this behavior because the timeline we found ourselves living in, it became so toxic that if you try to push back into a normal conversation, into giving your counter argument, if saying about something from a different point of view, and I'm not even talking about the political, divisive topics as this poor guy Charlie Kirk was. It's like I'm talking about work environment, a business, like when there's a client, a product, service, we sell, we make money, we carry on. That's the way of business. You get salary and things going on. You can't do it nowadays, like because you're gonna be falsely accused. You're gonna be this. You can have it destroy your career, your image, your business, anything overnight, pretty much because you said something the other side didn't like. And it doesn't have to be very divisive. I remember back in the day when I was still working employer. I was employee working my last employer a few years, 10 years ago. And there was a laboratory, private laboratory, medical laboratory, and we had a chat with different doctors and medical staff in and out. And I remember one doctor telling me that he was a private doctor working for a private clinic in central London, and he was seeing patients, obese patients, trying to have a baby, right, ladies, and they were already a bit, not the youngest as it is nowadays, and they were the body weight was. They were obese, right? So it's too big. So he as a doctor knew that doesn't help. So normally you would expect doctor to say, "Hello, Miss or Mrs. This is what happens." Potentially, it's harder to conceive and to get pregnant because you might have to lose some weight, you get some healthier diet, maybe some exercise, because that's your body reaction. It's not nothing to be mean about. It's just your body is mean to you. That's how you are designed, the creation, right? Created. You could not say it because you would get sucked and you would basically lose the job. So the doctor would have to go around all and all like, well, maybe you can just walk instead. And it's like you have to just avoid the obvious topic in order to not offend somebody and just try it. And that was, bear in mind, that was like 10 years ago. And then we are now here in the place where people are being basically slaughtered because of what they think or what they say or what they look like. And we still don't hear any, like we have media personalities coming up into a screen on the TV and saying, yeah, well, it's horrible, and they give you all this. We've lost it at some point. We honestly living in the alternative reality, which is almost like it's crazy. But if you think about the craziness out there, it's actually like, yeah. If I compare this, saying, hey, how about, I think we switched some timelines some time ago. People just absolutely lost their minds. It's not as crazy as if you compare to what actually is happening in front of us in reality. I can't deal with this in terms of like, what's the solution to it? I don't know. I can't pinpoint a time and a situation or a time frame when all things basically moved from a civilized, okay-ish world to like complete, utter nonsense, madness and cruelty and violence and pain. And as I keep saying, although I'm very optimistic long term, but we are in a period now, and whatever you call it, it's this period of destruction, it's a period of purification, I think. Like we've been oblivion, like ignoring all these warnings and poor behaviors and unaccepted behaviors and the debt, the politicians, the lies, all of it we are accepting for so long that I think it feels like to me it broke. It was just so much tension. It just exploded into our faces. And that was this event which made me feel like we just changed our timeline, right? Obviously, I'm not saying we're dead. I mean, I don't even know. That's like, it's a theory. I'm trying to just justify the change, right? Or find some sort of comfort in all of it we're saying. But because it was so long, so obvious things happening we were ignoring, now we got to this point where it's just absolutely, you can't ignore it. And the last 2 weeks particularly, I saw it and I saw it on the internet across different continents. And even like, I've never watched this guy's videos, right? This Charlie Kirk guy's. He was like everybody. I saw him every now and then popping on my social media somewhere and he's just talking this and probably out of context or whatever. Like he was just divisive, maybe opinion. It's very political. Yeah, that's fine. But I was never into it. Like, I never felt I want to listen to him. I was like, agree or disagree. I just didn't care. Like, it wasn't my thing. But when I saw what happened a week ago, it hit me. It was personal, right? And not because of what he said, but because of what happened. Like, it was something which changed everything for me. And then I was watching it on the internet and reading people's comments and from all over the place, and there was exactly the same feeling. People would never be able to actually say explain what the guy was doing. When we saw this, that was enough. That was this burst of something broke, and the shift happened. Maybe that was a shift back into another yet different timeline which we are now about to experience, right? Maybe that was the shift. I don't even know if that's it. Like, imagine that's possible. I don't know. Obviously, I'm just talking about this half serious and half like trying to make it, like picture or explain it into like so some sort of more interesting. But I don't know when. But we changed. The timeline we on changed. I've never seen anything like this back in the day. I've never heard anything about this from my family, which went through horrendous crimes and horrors of World War II. And it feels like we are just about to start a new chapter in our journeys. And, I can talk about this from a professional point of view, like financial, I understand finance, I understand business. I know there will be lots of business opportunities coming our way out of the chaos. There'll be lots of chaos, lots of fear, lots of anxiety, and therefore lots of problems to fix. And if you fix problems, then you can do it. You can have a business around it. But that is another, like, there's more spiritual thing as well, I think, happening, which I am not, but I don't know about this, right? It's like I got my feelings, I can see. But there's more. Things change, and I think they're gonna just. If I see how time's accelerated over the last 5 years, not more than that, even like 3-5 years, it's almost hard for me to catch up, to believe how fast things are going. So if I can see anything looking back in the last 2-3 years, it means probably that's going to go even faster, more crazy. So buckle up, because I think we're going to witness some of the most crazy events unfolding in front of us, crazier than we saw already, and it was already devastating, right? So I think that's our new timeline. I think, like I just answered myself here in this video, maybe because of what happened last week, this timeline shifted again. And again, long term, it's good. We need to purify all of this nonsense, all of it, all the things we've done wrong in this place. Like, we need to rebuild our everything. Like, it's the NHS, it's not rebuildable. You can't even fix it. There's the world the way it is, you can't fix it, right? It has to be just purified. However bad it might sound, but it's just the way, I think, right? It's like the empire's falling, and then things happening, and then the Renaissance arrives. The Dark Ages. We are in the Dark Ages right now. And before we can see the Renaissance, I think it's going to get a little bit darker. Let me know what you think. And let me know, really, what you think happened. When did that happen? If you feel it, let me know, when do you think the shift happened? Where was this timeline shift event? What was it? The internet? Social media? Smartphone? COVID? I have the 4 candidates, biggest ones. But maybe there's something else. And I know they all together work, sort of, but there was something somewhere where we lost our minds. Anyway, long term, it's going to be all right. We don't have to deal with our problems, which we created ourselves. It's just the way it is. It's probably better to see them than just to try to avoid them or deny it. It's just the worst, right? But we'll see. We'll see soon enough, I suppose. Let me know what you think. If you like this video, please leave me a like. I consider subscribing to my channel. If you're not subscribing yet, let me know in your comments what you think. Join my community, link in the description. If you want to talk more, if you need some help, if you want to know, if you need clarity in your life, maybe in professional clarity, business, that's the place you can get in touch with me, apart from just leaving a comment. And stay positive, keep smiling. It's going to be okay long term. It's what it is, part of life, part of living. Have a great day. Cheers.